We are back, and I am back to take the lead this week, Tony. What is up, everybody? The MJT Football YouTube channel. We're back for another week of our PICKEMS challenge for the third year, 11th week of this season. And who would have guessed, Tony? As always, we're only 3 games apart from first to last.
I had my shots last week to really take a commanding lead, and they all fell flat, right? Minnesota's win, and I think you had the Cardinals winning a game last week that really got, irked me a little bit. And then there was just some other collapses that hurt my chances of stretching my lead out. But I haven't looked at your picks this week, but I feel like I made some good ones. I made some bold ones that I think are going to pay off.
I feel really good about my picks this week as well, Tony. So we'll see whose feelings are better. I think we have like 4 or 5 different games this week, so it's going to be interesting. I will say we could celebrate one thing. Joe picked the Bengals. Good job, Joe. Good job. Joe starts it off 0-1. He's actually 4 games behind. He's not 3 games behind. These records are without Thursday Night Football included. But let's get into this. If you guys want to leave your thoughts in the chat as we go along, we're going to talk about every single game. So if we're ahead of your game, rewind and go back to your game. If we have not talked about your game yet, be patient. Talk about some of these other games with us, and we're going to get to your favorite team's game. Harrison, don't make fun of us for being late, man. It was 100% technical difficulties. No other reason. We're never late for any other reason other than technical difficulties, Harrison. So cut us some slack. And then the MJT football. Oh, my turns to show the Panthers win. That's pretty good right there. I'm back before the Panthers got another win. Thursday Night Football, Tony. Anything else you want to add to it? I mean, we just recorded a playoff segment. We talked about the Bengals and that. That's going to be dropping Saturday, just tomorrow if you're watching this live, or today if you're watching this on Saturday. Maybe check out the channel. We can go on here. Browns hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. You and Joe are both on the Browns with the rookie quarterback. I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They found a way to win games this year. This really becomes kind of defense versus defense situation, but I just think that the Steelers offense, not much better, but are going to handle the pressure that Cleveland throws at them a little bit better than the pressure that the Steelers throw at Dorian Thompson-Robinson and this Cleveland offense. And it also feels great to have truly a game that could be 50-50. We don't all want to be on the same side for this one, Tony.
Yeah, I can't wait for this offensive explosion of 11-8. And it's going to be fun. I was telling you, I really like what the direction that they went to start DTR in this game. You want to find out what you have in him, and you also want to have the veteran coming off the bench. I think that's a smart play by them. We got a defensive battle. I cannot continue to pick Kenny Pickett especially in games where I think that they're playing like a elite defense. I just can't imagine a scenario in which he has like a really great game. So I'm essentially just going with the team that's at home to win 13-10. I will watch this game regardless of the score or regardless of how bad the quarterbacks play. I will put this game on Monday and watch, because as much as scoring is fun, watching TJ Watt and Myles Garrett dominate, watching like Keanu Benton for the Steelers making some great interior pass rush moves is fun. And I think the same thing with like some of the things in the secondary, the second level linebackers and safeties for the Browns is fun too. So it'll be fun however it shakes out.
This may come down to who can get a pick six, who can get a fumble recovery inside of the opponent's territory, who can make that play on defense that leads to the points that win the game. Yeah, I'm going to be watching this game as well. I have it as my game of the week because of the defensive battle that we're about to see. An absolute masterclass. If you're used to 80s football, tune into this one. It's as close as you're going to get nowadays. let's move on here. But before we move on, just want to give a huge shout out to one of our most loyal followers of the program, of the podcast. Bodo Winter said he got the alert. You know what that means, Tony?
I don't, but you're going to tell me, right?
He's got them notifications on. He hit that bell. It's turned on. The phone told him, hey, MJT's live. They're only 20 minutes late this time. You should go and tune in.
Excellent. I'm having some computer malfunctions over here, but
great timing.
Yes.
You still hear me?
Bell. Yeah, no, I got you.
Okay. All right. Overlord, since we're going into the Chargers here, we'll answer his question real quick. The Chargers playing the Packers this weekend. We'll give you our picks. Obviously, you can see our picks. We're all on the Chargers. Joe's with the Chargers as well. But Overlord's asking, Tony, as Chargers fans, would we want to see Bill Belichick coach the Chargers?
I want to see him coach the Chargers. I don't want to see him GM the Chargers. So, like, that's my thing. Is there somebody who's coming in who gets to help pick the personnel that's on the field? Like, I do think he needs to work in tandem, but it needs to be a team. There needs to be professional evaluators. It can't just be like, oh, hey, I like this guy, this guard from random small school that I'm going to take and mold into the future. Like, I think you still have to have somebody who can definitely evaluate the offensive side of the football. But yeah, I would for it.
Yeah. I'd be worried that he's just going to bring over the staff and we're going to have Josh McDaniels as OC. And I mean, if it leads to the results that it's led to in New England with Tom Brady, sure, let's do it. But Tony, you know me. I don't know if the fans or the audience know. I have always been a massive Harbaugh fan, both of John and Jim. And if that's an option, long term especially, that's who I want. That's who I want.
Yes, I've been cheering for and watching Michigan football longer than any other sport in my life. Like, that was something that was on my grandfather's home from the time that I can remember, like 5 years old. So I would love for Jim Harbaugh to come and coach the Chargers. I'm really for any of those guys. I'm ultimately for Brandon Staley figuring things out. That's like the ultimate thing would just be like the team goes 8-0 to finish the season, and this guy has turned around the defense in ways that we could have never imagined.
An all-time turnaround, Tony. Hey, that's what I'm rooting for as well at the end of the day. But if we're talking about next coach of the Chargers, I hope it that at least Harbaugh's name is in the running, especially if Belichick's name's in the running, because that kind of throws out the idea that Dean Spanos won't pay a coach. My worst nightmare, Tony, is that he just hires another Staley, another Anthony Lynn, another, fill in the blank, rookie head coach, and we keep it going.
At least go with like somebody who's from a place where it's, like the winning has happened. Like if Eric Bieniemy was the next coach, I wouldn't be upset about it.
Or, I mean, there's some guys out there. Yeah, we'll save that conversation for another day. But yeah, that's our thoughts on it. We're all going Chargers here over the Packers. Last time Chargers played the Packers, Tony, I remember it very vividly. I was stationed far, far away, and I was watching the game on my phone, hiding away from work. This is what your tax dollars pay for, people to hide away from work in Japan and watch Green Bay Packers versus Chargers football. Philip Rivers had 500 yards. I think Keenan Allen had a 200-yard game or some crazy number, and the Chargers still lost. They still lost the game. I can't.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen a Chargers game. Oh, wait, we just saw one 6 days ago. This is, I'm not going to lie, this is a scary game as a Chargers fan because you go, oh, we should beat the Packers. Jordan Love isn't good, whatever. But it's like, LaFleur is a good play caller. He's innovative. Like, what if he just watched what happened and was like, oh, we have plays like that are similar to this in our playbook. We have speedy wide receivers. We could get, the ball in their hands. We've got Aaron Jones. We can score points. Now, the reason that I'm picking the Chargers because I don't think Green Bay's defense is anything like Detroit's. And if I could just have like 2 minutes of the Chargers time, I would say, please run Joshua Kelly between the tackles at 8 to 10 times in this football game. Good things will happen against the Packers. They are not great at stopping the run. And I think that this game is going to have 1,000 yards of offense in it.
It could be another barn burner. The Chargers should win though, and I agree with you on that. That they should win this game. They should win a lot of games. They probably should have won 3 or 4 more games this year. So we'll see. I'm just gonna watch the game. I'm glad it's in the morning. Sometimes I like these morning games because I can just get that out of the way. Just let's get that out of the way, and we can get on with our day no matter what happens. Even Joe's going with the Chargers though, which makes me feel good. Usually when Joe goes with the Chargers, it means the Chargers are going to win the game.
Joe's picked the Chargers 4 weeks in a row. I don't know what you're talking about. He picked him to beat the Chiefs, and then he picked him to obviously beat the 2 teams they beat up on, Bears and Jets, and then he picked him last week too. So this is week 5 in a row that Joe has picked the Chargers. He is trolling us in a major way.
Yeah, I've been MIA. I'm starting to get a little suspicious now that you bring that up. Might be doing some pick change or pick jinxes like I did in the past. Maybe he's got some kind of voodoo doll or something. I don't know. That's kind of worrisome. But speaking of Joe, they're demanding for Joe in the chat, y'all. I told Joe to take the day off just because I did not want to talk to him. So that's where Joe is. If you guys wanted Joe, you can blame me for him not being here. I kicked him off the show. That's why my name goes first in MJT, because I have that kind of power. And I don't want to hear him talk about the Raiders and their 2-0 win streak with Antonio Pierce going into this game against the Miami Dolphins to get absolutely smoked. This is my lock of the week. Miami over Vegas, Tony.
Feels like a pretty strong lock. Mike McDaniel off a bye against a team that is, let's be honest, it's fun to watch people celebrate. It's fun to watch people succeed. I don't particularly love watching the Raiders do these things, but like they are human beings who work super hard and were clearly unhappy with their previous manager at their job, and that person's gone and they're having fun. But I just don't see how they could win this game. Like every scenario that I paint is like, okay, Josh Jacobs has a great game and they run the ball a bunch. Fine. Dolphins get the ball back. They're going to get 9 possessions in this. Tyreek Hill's going to get loose. Devon Achane's back. Jalen Waddle should be out there. Like these 3 guys are going to hit home runs. Mostert, like you're right. I feel good about locking this one up.
Yeah, and I think that Miami defense is getting better and better as the season goes on as well. And I think they're going to be able to slow down Devontae Adams with their secondary. They have a few DBs they can throw at him in rotation, double them up, whatever they need to do, and do well enough against the rest of the Raiders' passing weapons to slow down the passing game with a 4th-round rookie in the pocket. Like you said, the Raiders' game plan's got to be to feed Josh Jacobs again. That's what's won them games the last couple of weeks. You're not playing a team from New York this week. This team, the Dolphins will score if you defend them well. 24 or more points. If you defend them well. I don't know if the Raiders can score 24 or more points in this game.
Yeah, I don't think the Raiders are giving up a 50-piece or anything, but I could see like a 38, like a 35-13 football game.
And I'm not ready to send them to the Super Bowl overlord, but I think that the matchup of this rushing offense, getting Devon Achane back, Raheem Mostert's obviously going to be there. Going against, I think, Raiders fans, educate me in the chat. I think the Raiders have the 31st ranked rush defense as of today. So, Miami's also going to run the ball. It's not just the Raiders. But
Mike, Joe Burrow will have season-ending wrist surgery.
What the hell? Wrist surgery.
That's a bummer.
Here's what I worry about, Tony. Because there was like rumors that he entered that game already injured. They left him off the injury report. Yada, yada, yada. Did they send him out there knowing that he was hurt to kind of just test it out? And he was like, okay, I'm fine. Throwing with the sprained wrist, and that caused a more serious injury?
I don't know. But I know that people came down, like somebody came down hard on him in the game. I forget who it was, Matabike or somebody hit him. It's the same thing, though. Like, the Bengals, for whatever reason, have not been able to figure out their offensive line. And I get that the Ravens have a great defensive line, but from play 1 until he was out of the game, the pass rush was fantastic. And then it only got worse once Browning was in there. Like, the floodgates opened up even more. They were like, we're going to get after this kid, and he's not going to do anything in this game. garbage time touchdown to Jamar Chase. I needed that one. That was nice.
Tony, I had a parlay on Underdog Fantasy, promo code NFLMike. By the way, I work on Underdog Fantasy now. I had a parlay with Underdog Fantasy where I had a sack for Owe, a sack for Clowney. Both those things happened. OBJ 30 yards receiving. I was like, that's easy money. Then I had a Keaton Mitchell to go over like 29 rush yards or something. He hit it. All I needed was a freaking Tyler Boyd touchdown, and he dropped it.
Wait, that was the week before?
No, that was last night's game. Only last night's game. That's it.
Wait, he dropped a touchdown last night too?
Well, it wasn't really like a drop. It was like a tight window throw, guy on him. It pissed me off.
Okay.
And then Jamar Chase's touchdown, like Tyler Boyd ran the best slant I've ever seen and was just wide open. But Browning decided, you know what? We're going with number one. He could have thrown it to Tyler Boyd and won me $800, but no big deal.
It was actually a good throw too. Like it was anticipation. Like the ball was out before Chase made the break. Like I was like, okay, maybe they got something in Browning and he'll be able to put them, together for a couple of games. But now season ending, like this is not good. Like this is 2 out of 4 seasons that have ended with an injury for Burrow. Like they got to figure out the offensive line or something. I don't know enough. But it just feels like he's getting killed back there.
We're going to keep the show going. So we got a lot of games to talk about still. But I think also Burrow kind of needs to self-evaluate how long he's holding on to the football, too. He's been the guy that's been quoted saying, like, I don't really care about sacks. I'll take as many sacks as I have to get the ball out. Sometimes this is the results of that. And taking unnecessary hits or holding on to the ball until the last second, taking a hit as you're throwing it so often. But we'll see. Yeah, we saw the news break. Booty Bandit, Burrow's done for the season. Their season's over. They'll probably regroup and come back next year. They're going to have to refresh the team a little bit too. I think the T. Higgins situation has hit its head, so they got to make a decision there. And I think the Joe Mixon thing is kind of getting to the end of the line also, where Joe Mixon might either have to take a pay cut to stay or get sent out. I know he took a pay cut on a 1 year this year to play this year with them. So Bengals end of a little bit of a mini chapter there for them with this team. We'll see what they do to rebuild and get better for next year. Let's keep it going here. We could fire off a few of these that we're pretty confident in. You're very confident in Washington over New York.
Yes, this is the DeVito family. Seems fun and jacked. Their son's playing in the NFL. Fantastic. Washington, win this football game. Crush in this football game. Like, go get a playoff spot.
One of my best friends, DJ, Washington fan. Shout out to you, DJ. He is on the Sam Howell train, Tony, and I've been telling him. My buddy Tony Tucker's been on this train since day one, baby.
Not day one, but I will say that when he played the final week of the season last year, I remember talking to you guys and I was like, did they find something in Sam Howell, or was this just a throwaway game? Because he looked fantastic. And then he was named the starter off-season time or whatever. Heineke's gone. I'm like, okay, I think I'm gonna rock with this. Bieniemy comes over. I really like that hire there. So like, I will say this. If you really look at like the last 2 QB drafts, he might be the best quarterback from the last 2 draft classes. Maybe not saying a ton, but like, and I know CJ Stroud has been fantastic this year. Don't get me wrong. He's working with something, but like it's close. He's playing some really good, fun football. And I think he can only get better once he starts to understand and learn the NFL. He's also just super fun to watch.
Yep. Yeah, he's got like that. He's just got a gunslinger mentality to him. He's just he's slinging that thing around, and he's got the weapons to sling around too as well. Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, even De'Ami Brown. Like he's a super underrated receiver. They're fun to watch. Antonio Gibson out the backfield with B-Rob. I'm with you.
Like Brock Purdy or Sam Howell?
Sam Howell.
Okay.
But it's not super wide at this very moment. I'm not saying that's forever. As if I had to pick one right now. All right. Dallas over Carolina. That's gonna be a blowout, right?
Yeah, sorry, Harrison. This is what the Cowboys do. Like they're gonna put 40 in this game.
That's what I was saying in my PICKEMS video as well, Tony, that they've shown that they will blow out teams that they're way better than. And that's the situation that we're in here, Harrison, unfortunately, at this point in the season. Jacksonville over Tennessee. I feel really good about that one.
I do too, but I just want to say, like, I don't know if you've talked about this anywhere in your many platforms. Dak Prescott kind of like taken the clubhouse lead in MVP. Like, he's had the most big games. Like, I know they're not against great teams, but like if you go and you look at the stats of what he's putting up this year, nobody's really running away with it. And then you just start stacking it and you're like, Dak Prescott could win 12 games this year, win the MVP.
Hey, I wouldn't complain about that. I made a video recently where I was talking about quarterbacks' Hall of Fame chances, and no one freak out. I'm not saying Dak Prescott's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but even if you just look at his career numbers, it's pretty eye-opening. It's pretty ridiculous. He has stacked like a bunch of high yardage, high touchdowns, and maybe not low interception, but low interception for the amount of freaking pass attempts that he's throwing, where it's going to start to add up. And I said in that video, if the Cowboys can figure it out and win a Super Bowl or two, then he's in that conversation because the statistics are starting to pile up. I'm with you on that. And he could put another big game here on the Panthers. You know, the Panthers defense is decent still. Harrison doesn't give a fuck no more, though. He's like, let's just go get Marvin Harrison, or let's go get whatever top pick we need. Bad news, Panthers fans. You don't even own your own draft pick. It's a terrible situation.
It is. And like what's even worse for them is like Frank Reich was like, I gave play calling duty to Thomas Brown. Psych. I'm going to take those back because it's not working out. So there's a lot going on there. Kyle Cundiff here. Any relationship to Billy, former kicker?
That'd be pretty
Kyle
cool.
is saying that the narrative isn't there. I would say that the narrative can still be written easily if they can beat the Eagles, and they could potentially find a way to get that division. Because if the Chiefs beat the Eagles on Monday night, it's going to be close coming down Cowboys, Eagles. If they win that division, it's the league would love to find another way to add more, clout and honor to the Dallas Cowboys. They know what that does for them.
Well, the narrative is going to be going into the third straight year of Cowboys versus Niners. Can the Cowboys buck them finally? Like it's been a trend. And we all know in football, it's hard to beat teams over and over and over again. Eventually, a good team like the Cowboys is going to figure out the formula to beat the Niners, and it's going to shock the freaking world.
Billy kicked for the Ravens, and you're a Ravens fan? It's just it's a name that I don't typically hear.
Yeah, we saw this. Pete, rewind the program just a little bit. Check it out. We talked about this. But anyways, let's continue this push here. We got Jacksonville, Tennessee. I feel pretty good about Jacksonville in this game. Getting back. Will Levis obviously had the hot start, then has come down to earth a little bit, put out the tape, and teams are studying him. They're going to figure him out. We got a lot of time to figure out whether or not Will Levis is the future of the Titans. Right now, the Jaguars really need to win this game, but the Houston Texans hot on their heels. They know it.
I like this Kyle person. He's fun. Here's the thing that I will say about this. Trevor Lawrence needs a game. This is the secondary that it can happen against for sure. It needs to get out there. And like, there's something about the Jaguars where they are winning, but it's like it's not impressive. It's not like watching the Steelers. Like, the Steelers are winning, but they're dominating on defense. The Jaguars are winning with defense-ish and with a run game-ish. Like, I just would like to see Trevor Lawrence have a game where it's like, oh yeah, this is the Trevor we've been waiting for. It's 320 and 4 touchdowns, like something fantastic. Tough spot though, division game against Vrabel, because the defense is still going to compete. They played really hard in that Buccaneers game. It's just like Will Levis, I wrote down, could have had like 7 interceptions. I'd be interested to know how PFF, they do that. What is it? The turnover worthy play. Yeah. There was a ton, I bet. Yeah.
And that's ugly to see. And also, I got Jacksonville because they're at home too. That adds a little extra advantage. I like the home teams that are like off in the corners of the countries, because you got to travel a little extra distance before the game as you lead into it. Yeah, hopefully Jacksonville can get it together too, Tony, because I put my eggs into that basket that Trevor Lawrence was breaking out as an MVP candidate in year 2 with Doug Peterson, drafted a ton of Calvin Ridley, drafted a ton of Evan Ingram, should have drafted a ton of Christian Kirk, didn't draft a bunch of Christian Kirk, but you get the point. Ton of Travis Etienne, which ended up being great. I think Etienne's a top 3 back as of right now in PPR formats. Overall, Trevor Lawrence has not hit the stride that I thought was coming this year 2 with Doug Peterson, like we've seen in sufficient offenses have gotten going. Usually year 2, 3, 4 is when you start to see the takeoff.
Yeah, I think more turnovers than touchdowns this year.
That's
in
crazy.
year 2 with Doug Peterson. It's wild. Because I do think that Trevor Lawrence is top 5 capable. Maybe not playing like it, but I think he's top 5 capable, and he hasn't been there.
Yeah, he has a lot of the physical traits that he needs. It's just putting the efficient play together on a consistent basis.
Wait, is this I think they should? I think the Bengals are going to pick up Cam Newton.
That would be crazy. I don't think they will. I don't think that's going to really do much for them. MVP hair. There you go. Mayo boy. Yeah.
He came in that game and I think surprised a lot of people, but
according to what, JR? We're just making stuff up now.
It doesn't matter. I've given up. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. If that's what you believe, good for you.
How do you think we would do as the managers of the Panthers, Tony? If we were the GM, you think we'd do a better job than they're doing?
Probably not. I think we still would have picked Bryce Young. I just don't think we would have made the trade for. That was always what I was saying in the offseason was like, I get what you're doing, but I'm not trading away essentially 3 first-round picks for this year's draft class. I would have stayed at 9, maybe drafted a quarterback or brought in whatever veteran I could find, and then I would have made the big move for the following year when we knew it was going to be Caleb and Drake, and we still didn't know. Now all of a sudden there's like 4 or 5 QBs that you could come in and you could have a good one. I just thought like trading up for an Ohio State quarterback I didn't love. Now I look like an idiot because CJ Stroud is amazing. And then trading up for a QB that was so small in stature. Like I just didn't love that. Anthony Richardson. And again, if I was going to make the wild pick at 1, Anthony Richardson would have been my guy. I still wouldn't have. I'm a Michigan guy. Maybe I have a little too much hate for Ohio State, but I still would have taken Anthony Richardson at number 1. So I think I'd be a terrible GM. I think I'd be
I'm with you. I would honestly be a terrible GM, but I like to just think about it like, what would I do if I actually had control, if I actually had the power to move players in and out?
Here's the thing, Mike. I'm way too loyal and extremely like emotionally. If I think that you're a good person, like I'm like, all right, we can ride together. We can figure this thing out. Doesn't matter if you suck. Well, I know you're gonna be better.
You can stay forever. Yeah. Guys will be on the roster for 20 years, even though they freaking suck just because they're great people.
Like what if Trey
okay, here
a super great guy? He'd still be on my roster.
Still be there.
Terrible.
Felke, hello. Welcome to the live. Everyone that's tuned in live on YouTube, please help us out by liking the stream. It helps out a ton the algorithm. Tuned in over here on TikTok, come to YouTube. What are you doing on TikTok? All you can see is my face and just hear these weird voices and stuff. Come on, MJT Football, come to the channel, like the stream for us as well to help us out and subscribe. All right, let's keep this thing going, Tony.
Let's.
I am a guy that likes to see players overcome hate, overcome obstacles, overcome everything. So naturally, I'm rooting for Kyler Murray to kind of use the injury and use everything that's happened over the last couple of years in Arizona as motivation to turn his career the right direction and start doing things a little bit better. But I don't have the Cardinals really winning this game. I think that Houston's going to win this game. I think they're going to win by 10 points. I do think that there is a chance that it's closer, and it surprises me a little bit. But the way the Houston offense has been playing over the last couple of weeks, they're insanely hot, and they have mismatches now that they can take advantage of if Tank Dell and Nico Collins and these guys continue to ball out this week. So I'm going with Houston. You're going with Houston. I see Joe's going with Houston. Houston all the way. Houston all the way.
Yeah, it's closer. But I decided not to be swayed by what I watched from Kyler last week. I think the Texans defense can make enough moves, and I'm fully on board with CJ Stroud being a amazing quarterback thus far in his career. I saw Noah Brown is out, but potentially Nico Collins could be back. It just doesn't seem to really matter. Like, the play calling is so great and fun when you watch it. There's a play at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and anybody, like, you want to go watch a rookie quarterback really manipulate the defense. Like, he's running this way, and he's waiting for Noah Brown for a play to develop on the backside. And at the last second, he just flips his hips, and the ball's actually not really thrown that well. It's kind of underthrown. Like, Noah Brown could have got, but it's like a 25-yard gain. Like, he just, like, you can see that he's just setting it up. And once he knows that he clears the defender at a certain spot, he just flips and just fires. It's accurate, slightly underthrown, but, like, it's fantastic. And you don't really see that a ton from rookies, but you can see that all through the game when you watch him just making big time stuff. Can I say the crazy thing I said about Trey McBride to you off the air?
Of course. Go ahead.
Right here.
Go ahead.
Trey McBride is going to be the next big tight end. Like, if Bodo's still here, he's buried Kyle Pitts. He's not that dude. Like, drafted, we're excited about Sam Laporta and how good he's been. Dalton Kincaid was a first-round pick. Like, all this stuff. Trey McBride gives off Rob Gronkowski vibes. Now, is he going to be as great? Probably not, because he doesn't have Tom Brady. But when you watch this guy play, he's a monster in the run game. He's more athletic than, like, every person that covers him. Great hands. After the catch ability, he is so much fun to watch, and he's fantastic. I'm really rooting for Trey McBride. And now that he's got Kyler back, like, I think that this thing can only grow and get better for him. Trey McBride, fantastic. Tony the GM would have drafted McBride. You can go back and check those. I had him in the third round of the Chargers, but he got taken in the second round.
Check the receipts, Kyle. He said Tony the GM. There you go. And Kyle loves his tight ends. Over the years, he's always been a guy that targets the tight end heavily. He does a lot of stuff that he gets out of the pocket, moves around, and that gives the tight end room in the middle of the field to slide left, right, find the hole in the defense out of script. Go ahead, Tony.
One last thing before we move on. Kyler, his movement, I was concerned. No concerns. Watch the full game. He's 100% back to what he was before, making great plays with his legs. Like,
yeah. And you could tell that he let it loose to another level in the fourth quarter. Like, not that he was holding back a ton, but I could tell he's playing a little bit more safe than he usually would because it's his first game back, because he's working back from injury. And then when the game was on the line, at the end of the game in the fourth quarter, he let it rip, he let it loose, and he looked like himself. He looked like Rookie of the Year Kyler right there.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of that play against the Raiders on a 2-point conversion, I believe, where he like made a couple people miss, backed out, and then, reached out for the goal line. Same thing. It was like 3rd and 10. He was about to get sacked, backed out, outran the edge rusher, got the edge, and then broke up field for 10 yards. It's good to see, because a guy that uses athleticism so much like that, so exciting to watch as well. We can see those guys turn downhill very quickly when you start to see injuries pile up. So it's good to see.
The two most impressive athletes, like, on the football field that I've ever watched is Kyler Murray and Derwin James. Like, Derwin looks like the person that he's going to hit is going to explode when he runs into them. Like, it's so fast and it's so violent. I can't compare it to any. Like, it's crazy. And then Kyler, there was a game against the Rams. I went with my brother and my nephew who are Rams fans, and Kyler was like, I'm watching it from above, and it just looks like everybody's just trying to chase around this one person. And he must have run 60 yards on the play and ended up with a 14-yard run on, like, 3rd and 13. And he just couldn't do anything. Like, he was just a superior athlete. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, he may be the most agile quarterback out there. You can talk about Lamar maybe being the most slippery. You see Lamar do a lot of tuck under tackles, and he comes out all of a sudden, or he's gathered with a bunch of D linemen around him, and then he just breaks out. He just finds a crack in it somehow. But Kyler will just straight up leave people looking silly, juking them out, looking like Steph Curry out there.
I can't wait to have the offseason discussion about the Cardinals, Mike. And we're spending a lot of time talking about the Cardinals, but because they got a big win last week. But they're in a really good spot. I wouldn't move off Kyler at this point, right? But they might end up with really good high draft picks.
So I'm hoping
the teams, they've got some talent. Michael Wilson going to be a good player in this league too.
Yeah, and the defense has some young players too that are a little bit underrated. So they have some building blocks to build around. I hope they hold on to Kyler too. I mean, I want Kyler. If Kyler is going to get traded, I want him to get traded somewhere really fun, like Minnesota or Atlanta or something like that. But if he doesn't get traded and he stays there, I'm thinking what Booty Bannon's thinking. Whatever receiver is the best receiver available for them, go get him his guy. Go get him the replacement for D-Hop. So that way that we could see what Kyler can do next year with a solid wide receiver one. Michael Wilson there as well. And Trey McBride, like you said.
The other one, they drafted Paris Johnson Jr. this year, who looks pretty good. Like they've this new GM is off to a great start.
All right, Tony, let's keep this thing going. We got on a snag there around the Cardinals. 49ers, Bucks. The 49ers defensive line looked very scary last week. I think this is going to put the NFC on notice, and we're going to see a lot of max protection from offenses going against San Francisco. I don't think that Baker Mayfield is going to be able to stand in the fire much better than Trevor Lawrence did last week. They kind of just got wrecked. What do you think, Tony? San Francisco going to just smoke Tampa?
Yes, Harrison. I think a lot of people would feel the same way. Panthers fans, that they might not watch football anymore. That bottom comment. This is a tough game for the Bucks to come out. You build a little momentum, you get that win last week, and now you have to fly all the way out to San Francisco. Like you talked about travel. Like I think this is a tougher travel than Tennessee to Jacksonville. It's a pretty short flight. This travel to me would suck.
This is cross country.
When you get off the plane, you're looking at those guys. Like you have to go out there, and I just think like getting back Trent Williams, it was such a massive piece for the 49ers. Like it's really him. I think Debo also out there, the way he just kind of like he sets the tone, even on like a 3-yard gain, the team loves it. Like they really rally around that sort of like physically violent, where it's like, oh, you thought that hard was hit. Hey, Debo, check this out. Hey, Trent, watch me run this guy over. Like, I don't think the Bucks have much of a chance in this game. Doesn't mean I'm counting the Bucks out long term, but I think this feels like a pretty good sort of like back-to-back thumping for the 49ers. Like take care of the Jaguars on the road, and then we're going to come home and we're going to show we're still Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. Gets them right back on track, and they'll be healthy on the other side of it. I got San Francisco as well. Joe's going with San Francisco. Any opportunity to go against San Francisco, Joe would take.
Yeah, but Joe hates Baker. There's no way.
That's true. That's true.
He's been
especially
playing
after
really
last
good.
year.
Like Baker's been playing pretty good football this year. Like look at the numbers, watch the games, whatever you want to do. Like he's been pretty good. Massive drops by Mike Evans this year. Guys like literally like T.O. It's like watching T.O. You'd be like, how could you drop that? The next play, he makes an amazing play. You're like, oh yeah, this guy's a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah. I saw a podcast with T.O. recently, and T.O. was sharing some of the stories, and it's just life in the NFL is probably nuts. Just so many times where he's made iconic plays, and he's just like, I just did that shit on the fly. Like that wasn't planned.
He dropped a touchdown in the game last week and then came back and made this like 43-yard catch sliding down on an underthrown ball. And you're like, oh yeah, he's still Mike Evans.
Yeah. He's still he's nuts, and he's a baller. I wonder. Yeah, I wonder.
This is good. This is good right here, Kyle.
Big shows and vacation nightmare. And Harrison hates Baker. Baker Shitfield. He played for the Panthers, played terrible, goes to the Bucks, and now is beating on the Panthers. Sorry, Harrison. You guys got your guy, though, with Bryce Young. Just give it some time. Be patient, Harrison. Tony.
This right here. I'm always curious as how this works. Like, if you ask for your release, can you just say, like, hey, keep all your money, but just, you guys don't have to pay me anymore. You can just release me. Like, how does that work?
There's some job openings now, so getting released may be favorable for some of these guys that are stuck in the depth chart.
Yeah. I just never know how that works. Like,
yeah.
What is the point of them keeping him on the roster? Like, you have Malik Willis, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Either way, it doesn't really seem like Tennessee is doing much this year. They need to kind of figure out what they got anyways out of the younger quarterbacks. Tony, convince all these people that the Jets are going to win this game against the Bills.
I'm picked the Jets.
You don't seem confident.
So here's the thing. If they looked the way they did against that, I'm blanking on who they played last week. The Broncos defense. Thank you. Monday Night Football. This Jets defense is much better than what we saw from the Broncos. Like, just the relentless pass rush, the secondary. I don't know. I would have to go back and really watch. But how come Stephon Diggs only got 4 targets or whatever in this game? It's not going to get any easier with Sauce Gardner or Reed or whoever, like, put him in the slot. Even Michael Carter's good in coverage. So, like, I can't trust the Bills to go up against a solid defense and not turn the ball over. Because it's not just Josh Allen. James Cook is dribbling the ball down the middle of the field. Like, those are the craziest plays I've ever seen. Like, it looked like he was making an and one mixtape for the NFL. Like, I was like, oh shit, we got hot sauce and the professor out here. Like, this guy's going after it right now. Like, this is insane to see that. First play of the game, he fumbles. It's not just Josh Allen. It's kind of the whole offense is off, and you can't have an off day against the Jets. Jets need a win. I am a little worried now that that Garrett Wilson's not playing. I'm a little worried about that because I don't know who he's throwing the ball to.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how many points the Jets can score if there was just like no one out there and they were just going against air. How many points did they score? Well, Alan Lazard out there running routes as wide receiver 1. So the Bills just need to wisen up, stop fucking around, especially against this Jets defense. Their only weakness is run defense. I know you're saying James Cook had the fumbles. Maybe even go to Latavius Murray a little bit more this week, but just run the shit out of the football, score the 14 points you need to win the game, and Josh Allen will get you 2 more touchdowns, and you'll win comfortably.
Yeah, I think this is a need a big performance from Mosley and Quincy Williams, right? Linebackers coming up and taking that ability to run the football away, because maybe that's Joe Brady's move. Is he's going to say, like, hey, we need to run the football more. You need to try and make things easier for Josh Allen here. Like Kyle says, imagine losing to Zach Wilson twice in a season.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. It's not Zach Wilson. It's the defense. Like, that's who you're losing to twice in a season. It's not like Zach Wilson is out there cooking you up and you lost to him twice. You're losing to the defense.
This is what Zach Wilson's saying right now in the mirror. He's got the Muhammad Ali out here. I'm going to show you how great I am.
Yeah, but to me, it's more like, can they get Bryce Young on it? Bryce Young's due for like a big 70-yard screen pass to the house.
Breece Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching that whole Raiders-Jets game, just punching in the air. Like, what in the fuck are you guys doing? Every time 20 touches the ball, something good happens, and he only gets 15 chances at it. Like, get him the ball. Zach Wilson's not taking you anywhere. Don't even get me started on that. The Jets should have won that damn game. Now Raiders fans are all on their high horses. And it's like, did you guys watch the game that I watched? Did we not watch that game? What? You guys are crazy. I mean, we got one bozo here on the screen that took them to beat Miami this week. Granted, he is a Raiders fan, so.
Booty Bandit, what was the hot take about Josh Allen? He says, starting to show why my early season hot take is valid. What was the hot take? Let's go to the next one here.
Yes. Next game is Seattle in Los Angeles. This game could be a little interesting if Stafford's out there. I'm not sure. I know that he was questionable earlier in the week. I haven't checked in on his injury status, but I think even with Stafford out there, I'm going to take Seattle to win it. I know they had the game earlier in the year where the Rams beat the Seahawks. I think it was actually to open the year. Get a little bit of revenge here. So the Seahawks need to keep winning too. They are, I think, currently first in the division, but they're in a neck and neck race in this division. And I say it all the time, I just want to be right. Remember the Seattle takes that we were giving out at the beginning of the year? I had them winning the division, and everyone called me a lunatic. And here we are in week 10, and they're leading the division.
I had them winning the division too and winning 13 games this year. And we on that prediction show, you guys are like, do you want to put this on the internet? And I was like, yes, I do. So I think the Seahawks should control this game pretty easily. I'm really hoping that Geno Smith builds off the second half that he had, because he had another bad half of football in the first half. The second half was a lot better. So I'm hoping that we see more of that Geno continue in this game. Kenneth Walker, just let him make big plays for you. It's easy. Just get him in the screen game, keep feeding him the rock, Charbonnet, and then take your shots when you can. Tyler Lockett might be the most underrated wide receiver of this generation. Like, we just never talk about him. We've tried to be away forever, like just try to bury him forever. Like, and he just continues to make big plays in the NFL.
Stack multiple great seasons in a row, and his legacy is going to be left too when he's done with the Seahawks through number 11. It's kind of like a very similar style receiver to him, and hopefully Tyler Lockett can continue to teach JSN the tricks of the trade. Just JSN had a decent game last week. I think he had like 6 catches for 80 yards, something like that. I want to see him keep growing as a player as well. Yeah, go Hawks. Let's do this week. They're saying Booty Bandit's hot take about Josh Allen is that he's not going to be unanimously top 5 by the time the season ends. I don't think he's unanimously top 5 right now. I think a lot of people are starting to rank him outside their top 5, which would take away the unanimous word. I think he's right there in that conversation, if you ask my personal opinion.
It is kind of weird because it was like 3 weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, PFF was like, he's playing the best quarterback of any. I'm like, he's throwing an interception in 5 straight games. How does your grading system work? Where like you're not winning games and you're leading the league in interceptions or whatever? Like, what? How does the grading system work? I don't fully understand PFF. But
and if you're like me, guy who's really high on Aaron Rodgers still, personally, I think he's still on the fringe of that conversation. Guy's super high on Lamar Jackson, and what he's playing this year is kind of proven why. Obviously, Justin Herbert. Like, you could already rank Josh Allen outside, at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Don't use Aaron Rodgers for your argument. I mean, the guy's 40 years old. He had a terrible last year in Green Bay, and he's coming off an Achilles. So there's other QBs we could use. I'd be more comfortable with Tua than I would be with Aaron.
Tua over Josh Allen.
I'm just saying, if you're making an argument, don't use the 40-year-old QB who's coming off an Achilles tear.
Yeah, I won't use 2 of the last MVP awards in my conversation when I talk about the best quarterbacks in the league.
Oh, okay. So we're just bringing up history for moving forward, or currently who's a top 5 QB? Then yes.
I mean, we've got 3 seasons. The past 3 seasons, we look at them. Aaron Rodgers has been the best quarterback in the league 2 of the 3 seasons, and I'm saying that he's still top 10, top 5. That's not crazy to say, but this isn't an argument that we need to have here, Tony. We've had this argument so many times. I know you hate Aaron Rodgers. You can say it louder for the people in the back if you need to. Anyways, let's go on to Detroit here. I think Detroit's going to easily win against Chicago. I've been one that always had that little bit of doubt in the Lions at all times, but especially seeing them in person last week, they're legit. They are legit contenders this year.
Zero doubt, and I believe I will be cheering for them in the playoffs this year. Justin Fields back.
That's true.
Khalil Herbert back.
Yep.
Don't think it makes a difference. Bears should get rolled in this game. Like,
I think so too.
The Lions defense should have a bounce back this week, be able to get pressure and kind of make it a messy There's something weird that's happening with Chicago where it's like, do they want to trade Justin Fields? Do they want to keep Justin Fields? What's going on? Like, they're
They
like,
have a
we need
decision to make.
to evaluate him behind this
Yeah.
offensive line, like behind what's going on. This is what you want to evaluate. Like, it doesn't feel fair.
Yeah, because they're going to be in a situation where you trade Justin Fields and you're just loaded. Even if you don't get a high first round pick for him, you might not. You get a few picks for him in second and third round, fourth round, fifth round. They're going to be loaded with picks. Mike is back, but no Joe. Yeah, Joe was supposed to be on the show today. I told him to kick rocks. I wanted his spot. So he bowed down as he does.
Western showdown where they were like, this screen isn't big enough for the both of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I won that out. Tony, sponsored by Pfizer. That's why you hate Aaron.
Yeah, that's one of the few things Aaron and I we kind of agree on there. I don't want to go down that road on this show, but
Raider Aaron, I don't know what you want out of Herbert. I believe he's third in the league in touchdowns scored by quarterbacks, and he's one game behind the whole field because he's had a bye week, and everyone else is still catching up with their bye weeks. He's literally scoring just about as many fantasy points as he possibly can. He's had 2 bad weeks, I think. Yeah, exactly.
He had a bad week against the Jets, and then pretty much
Dallas.
every other week he's been top 12.
Yeah, Dallas maybe. And the rest of the games, he's been as good as you can get at quarterback in fantasy football, at least. All right, we all got Detroit, by the way. Joe's not going with the Bears, but we do have some differences here, Tony. Yeah. Minnesota Vikings on the road in Denver. You're going with the Broncos. I'm going with the Vikings. Couldn't be more happy to be going against Denver in a very important game in our PICKEMS challenge this week. Joe's picking the Broncos as well. This is a perfect scenario. I see what you guys see, though. The Denver defense is starting to put it together. The Denver offense is playing more efficient. They're not scoring a bunch of points, but they're also not just going 3 and out or turning the ball over a ton like they were last year and maybe even earlier on in the season. So I can see it, but I am just going to keep riding the hot hand of Josh Dobbs, and now he's getting Justin Jefferson back into the lineup. Please put it together, Minnesota. I don't care if you win by 3 points again. You got to get this one. But Tony, go ahead and share your hope for Denver to win this.
I don't think that Justin Jefferson plays in this game. That's kind of why I ended up going with the Broncos. But also, too, I think this is the time of year when the home field advantage starts to kick in for them. Yeah, let's free Joe from a life of
prison,
partying and going to the Raiders. What is that place where he always the Win Club or whatever?
Win Club. He's in there.
Yeah, he's in there.
Everything's moving.
I think the Broncos have figured out some stuff offensively, and they've definitely figured stuff out defensively. Vikings, it's good. It's a fun story. I just don't know that going on the road on Sunday Night Football that this is the spot where they're going to get it right. If Justin Jefferson was in the game, I might have picked the Vikings. I just don't think he's coming back this week.
I hope he does, and I hope he gets me this win over you guys. And Tony, the Philadelphia Eagles are beating the Chiefs. They're beating the Chiefs.
I'm for it. Let's do it.
Then what are you doing here picking the Chiefs?
Andy Reid off of a bye week at home. That's what I'm doing. I'm simply just allowing, like, when we get on the show next week and you go, Tony, it's Sunday Night Football. Why are you picking the Ravens against the Chargers? I don't know. Because of everything. Like, all I'm saying is I simply look at what's going on. If I have a little bias, yes, I'll lean in one direction. But everything points to the Chiefs. The secondary for the Eagles has not been great. I don't think magically that stuff's figured out. And they're just going to find a way to run the football with Pacheco. Patrick Mahomes will waddle his way to some miraculous first down and piss us all off in this game. And the secondary for the Chiefs is going to make enough plays in this game to be the difference. And yeah, I'm cheering for the Eagles. I will be, even if it costs me games in the standings, I will be rooting for Philadelphia in this game. I'm just not picking them.
I need Philly to come in here with the most ferocious pass rush game plan of all time. They have the defensive linemen to do it. They have the athletes on the defensive line to do it. I want to see Mahomes as frustrated as I've ever seen him. I haven't seen Mahomes like truly frustrated by a pass rush since the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the Bucs. I want to see this man tortured in this game, but we'll see if they can penetrate the offensive line. The Chiefs' offensive line has been very good this year. That's the challenge right there. I think that's the matchup of the game is can they get Mahomes on the freaking ground? Beat him up a little when you get him down there too. Throw a few jabs, throw a few dirty shots.
We get another like iconic soundbite. You rest with the wrong mother.
No. I'm here.
He does sound tougher when he's on the field than when he's doing the other stuff.
The interviews and stuff, or when he's going on Peyton and Eli's show and calling out Denver Broncos' entire game script. And it's like, this dude knows the Denver Broncos better than he probably knows his own freaking team.
Oh, I know. I was listening to that and I'm like, goodness gracious. This is
just carving him up from a freaking broadcast on the fly with no preparation. So I can only imagine what he does in lead ups to games when it comes to breaking those guys down.
He had just lost to the Broncos and he's sitting there having to watch them. Like he must have watched so much tape leading up to that. And then afterwards, like, how did this happen? What went wrong? We just lost to the Broncos. Like, this can't be happening. This is not what I do. I don't lose to AFC West teams. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm home or away. Like, I just dominate this division. He must have been flabbergasted. Let's get out of here. My back is hurting.
I gotta go too. Stiff. I hate this guy. You want to answer this fantasy question first? Yeah. Jordan Addison or D-Hop? I'm going Jordan Addison.
Who do the
Titans are playing the Jags.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna start Jordan Addison.
There you go, Alex.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like Pat Surtain is real, and if he gets if he shadows him, that could be rough. But I think they move Addison into the slot a little bit, so he should be fine. Nope, you know what? Start D-Hop. I'm changing my mind totally. Start D-Hop.
Now he's not gonna know because I'm picking Addison. You're picking D-Hop.
Well,
he's in the same spot he was.
Who's wiser?
Who do you trust, Alex? I think he's probably going to go with that.
Just because he has a couple 100,000 followers on TikTok, that's no reason. Yeah. Come on, Alex.
I got all those followers by creating controversy, not with any knowledge. Anyways, I will talk to you guys. We will talk to you guys next time we're live. Appreciate you for tuning in to MJT Football once again. Tony, anything else to tell the people before we go?
Steezy Monster is hilarious right here. Joe Morley. This is why he misses Joe Morley. His big, juicy body. All
right, we're signing off on that one. We'll see you guys.
What do you guys say? Pause? Pause, right?